never eat this nut. It shortens your life. When we talk about diet, we often think of nuts as a healthy snack. They're rich in protein, fiber, and good fats. But here's the truth. Not all nuts are created equal. There is one particular type of nut that, when eaten regularly, may actually shorten your life rather than extend it. I'm talking about processed peanuts and peanut-based products loaded with salt, sugar, and unhealthy oils. While raw or natural peanuts can be fine in moderation, the processed forms, like salted peanuts, honey, roasted peanuts, and especially peanut butter with additives, can silently damage your health over time. Why? Because these versions are packed with sodium, added sugars, hydrogenated oils, and preservatives. These ingredients contribute to high blood pressure, heart disease, obesity, and even increased cancer risk. Let's break this down. High sodium content. Excess sodium puts strain on your heart and kidneys, raising the risk of hypertension and stroke. Added sugars, sugary coatings, or sweetened peanut butter spike blood sugar, leading to insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. Unhealthy oils, hydrogenated or refined oils cause inflammation and clog arteries, raising the risk of heart disease. Overeating factor. Processed peanuts are engineered for taste, making them addictive. This leads to overeating and weight gain. Cancer link. Some peanut products can contain aflatoxins, toxins from mold, which are linked to liver cancer when consumed regularly. So, while you might think you're making a healthy choice by grabbing a handful of peanuts or a spoonful of peanut butter, if they're processed, flavored, or filled with additives, you're actually harming your body. The solution: choose natural, unsalted, and unprocessed nuts like almonds, walnuts, or raw peanuts in moderation. Always read labels and avoid products with hydrogenated oils, added sugars, or excess salt. Your health is shaped by the small daily choices you make. And one of those choices could literally add or take away years from your life. When we think of nuts, the first association that often comes to mind is health. They are promoted as nutrient-dense, heart-friendly, and full of protein and good fats. And while that's true for many nuts in their natural state, the story changes dramatically when we talk about processed peanuts and peanut products. These are not the same as grabbing a handful of raw, unsalted peanuts from nature. Processed peanuts are altered in ways that strip them of their natural health benefits and load them with substances that slowly work against your body. Instead of acting like a superfood, they become a silent contributor to chronic disease and premature aging. The problem isn't the peanut itself, but what happens once it goes through industrial processing. Consider what happens when peanuts are turned into the common snacks most people eat daily. They're roasted in oils that are far from healthy, coated with salt or sugar, and often mixed with preservatives to extend shelf life. The final product is a far cry from the original nut. These additives may not seem dangerous when consumed occasionally, but most people don't stop at a handful. The addictive combination of fat, salt, and sugar encourages overconsumption, which means the harmful ingredients start building up in the body. Over time, this puts enormous pressure on organs like the heart, liver, and kidneys. What makes this worse is that many people view peanuts as a guilt-free snack. They believe they're making a healthy choice, and because of this belief, they eat them regularly, sometimes even daily. The issue is that the processed versions contain high sodium levels that quietly elevate blood pressure. They contain hydrogenated oils that increase inflammation in blood vessels. They may contain sugar coatings that spike blood glucose levels. All these changes in the body are not felt immediately, but their impact accumulates over years. One day, that healthy snack habit might show up as heart disease, diabetes, or liver problems, and by then, the connection between the peanuts you've been eating and your health decline is nearly invisible. Adding to this danger is the fact that peanuts are particularly susceptible to mold contamination during storage. Some molds release aflatoxins, which are toxic compounds known to damage the liver and increase the risk of cancer. While regulatory bodies monitor levels of these toxins, they can still make their way into peanut products, especially those produced under poor quality control. The risk might not be apparent in every bite, but frequent exposure over time increases your chances of developing serious illnesses. The marketing of peanut-based products also makes the problem worse. Peanut butter, for example, is heavily advertised as a source of protein and energy, especially for kids. However, the reality is that most commercial brands are loaded with sugar, salt, and hydrogenated oils, making them less of a health food and more of a processed dessert in disguise. People spread it on toast, blend it into smoothies, or eat it by the spoonful, completely unaware of the long-term harm they are inviting into their bodies. So the core problem is not peanuts in their natural state, but what processing does to them. Once altered with additives, oils, and chemicals, the same nut that should nourish your body becomes something that quietly shortens your life. And the danger lies in the fact that people eat them often, thinking they're doing something good for their health, when in reality, they're moving further from it every single day. High sodium intake is one of the most silent yet powerful drivers of chronic illness, and processed peanuts are loaded with it. Salt is added to roasted peanuts and other peanut-based snacks to make them more flavorful, addictive, and marketable. The problem is that this extra sodium doesn't just sit harmlessly in your body. It actively changes how your organs function and creates strain that over time can shave years off your life. Most people underestimate the dangers of sodium because it is such a common part of daily food. It's in chips, crackers, canned goods, sauces, and of course processed nuts. The body needs a small amount of sodium for normal cell function and fluid balance, but the average diet today far exceeds the safe limit. When peanuts are heavily salted and consumed in regular quantities, they contribute significantly to this excess. The first organ to feel the impact of too much sodium is the heart. Sodium increases fluid retention in the body, which raises blood volume. Higher blood volume means the heart has to pump harder to circulate blood through the body, leading to elevated blood pressure. This is why high sodium intake is directly linked to hypertension, which is often called the silent killer, because it has no obvious symptoms until it leads to a heart attack or stroke. Eating salted peanuts as a casual snack may not seem dangerous, but if it's part of a daily routine, it's like adding fuel to a fire that will eventually burn out of control. The kidneys are also placed under heavy strain by high sodium levels. Their primary role is to filter excess waste and fluid from the blood, and sodium interferes with this process by causing the body to hold on to water. Over time, this burden on the kidneys can lead to kidney disease or kidney failure. Many people who develop kidney problems don't realize that their diet, filled with salty processed foods like peanuts, played such a large role in damaging those vital organs. It's not an immediate effect, but a cumulative one, building up year after year until the body can no longer cope. Another hidden consequence of consuming too much sodium is its impact on the arteries. Excess salt stiffens the blood vessels and reduces their elasticity, making it harder for blood to flow smoothly. This creates an environment where plaque can build up more easily, leading to atherosclerosis, which increases the risk of heart attacks and strokes. In simple terms, every handful of salted peanuts contributes to narrowing and hardening of the arteries, even if you don't feel it happening. Sodium also has a role in increasing bone loss. High sodium intake leads the body to excrete more calcium in the urine. Over time, this depletes calcium levels, weakening bones and increasing the risk of osteoporosis. For individuals who snack on salty peanuts regularly, especially older adults who are already prone to bone thinning, this can significantly increase the chances of fractures and mobility problems later in life. The addictive nature of salt makes the problem worse. Processed peanuts are engineered to be hard to resist. That satisfying crunch, combined with the salty flavor, makes it difficult to stop after just a few. This overconsumption amplifies the dangers, ensuring that instead of eating a small, harmless amount, people consume 2, 3, or even 4 servings at a time. Each extra handful adds to the sodium burden, pushing the body further toward long-term disease. The health risks tied to excess sodium are well documented, and yet they continue to be overlooked because they don't show up immediately. The damage accumulates quietly, without warning signs. By the time someone discovers they have high blood pressure, kidney disease, or hardened arteries, years of dietary habits, often including snacks like salted peanuts, have already laid the foundation. What seems like an innocent snack can, in reality, be a daily dose of poison, slowly undermining the body's ability to thrive. When peanuts are transformed into sweetened snacks or flavored spreads, the biggest hidden danger comes from the added sugars. Sugar is not just about calories. It disrupts the body's delicate balance of hormones, metabolism, and energy use in ways that, over time, lead to serious health consequences. Flavored peanuts coated with honey, caramel, or chocolate, and commercial peanut butters loaded with sugar are designed to taste irresistible. The problem is that these sugars are quickly absorbed into the bloodstream, causing a rapid spike in blood glucose levels. Each spike demands an equally rapid insulin response from the pancreas, and when this cycle happens repeatedly, the body gradually becomes resistant to insulin. Insulin resistance is the precursor to type 2 diabetes, one of the most widespread and life-threatening conditions today. The impact doesn't stop there. Excess sugar in the bloodstream damages blood vessels, making them more prone to inflammation and narrowing. This raises the risk of cardiovascular disease, which is the leading cause of death worldwide. Many people never realize that their habit of eating sweetened nuts or spoonfuls of sugary peanut butter contributes to this long-term damage. They often think of nuts as a protein-rich snack, but the sugar hidden in these products turns them into metabolic hazards. What should be a source of nutrition ends up acting like a dessert disguised as health food. Another major issue with added sugars in peanut products is weight gain. Sugar triggers the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine and creating cravings for more. This addictive cycle leads to overeating, and because sweetened peanuts and peanut butter are calorie-dense, it doesn't take much to consume an excess of calories. Over time, this contributes to obesity, which itself is a risk factor for diabetes, heart disease, and even certain cancers. The false sense of security that comes with eating nuts makes the problem worse. People don't realize they are eating something that has the same harmful impact as candy or soda. Sugar also affects the liver in profound ways. When consumed in large amounts, particularly in the form of high fructose corn syrup that is often added to processed foods, Sugar overwhelms the liver and is stored as fat. This contributes to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, a condition that is becoming increasingly common and dangerous. Left unchecked, fatty liver disease can progress to liver inflammation, scarring, and even cirrhosis. With peanut products being marketed as wholesome, it's easy to overlook how much sugar is packed into them and how much stress they place on the liver. Beyond physical health, sugar also impacts mental well-being. Frequent blood sugar spikes followed by crashes lead to mood swings, irritability, and fatigue. For individuals relying on sweetened peanut snacks to keep their energy up, this roller coaster can actually make them feel more drained and unproductive in the long run. The body doesn't get sustained fuel. Instead, it experiences a constant cycle of highs and lows that wear down both physical and mental resilience. Children are especially vulnerable to these dangers. Many parents buy flavored peanut butters or sweetened peanut snacks, believing they are giving their kids a healthy source of protein. In reality, they are setting them up for sugar dependency, excess weight gain, and metabolic problems that can begin as early as adolescence. Because these products are marketed so aggressively as healthy, families are often unaware of the risks they are introducing into their daily diets. Over time, the accumulation of sugar in the body does not just make someone more likely to gain weight. It alters how every system functions, from hormones to circulation. Eating sweetened peanuts regularly is no different from eating candy, except it comes wrapped in the illusion of health. What feels like a harmless indulgence is in fact setting the stage for chronic illness, making each spoonful or handful a slow but steady step away from long-term health. One of the most damaging aspects of processed peanuts and peanut-based products is the presence of unhealthy oils, especially hydrogenated and refined vegetable oils. These oils are not naturally found in peanuts, but are added during processing to improve texture, extend shelf life, and enhance flavor. At first glance, they might seem harmless, but inside the body, they create a cascade of negative effects that can undermine health over time. The primary danger comes from the fact that hydrogenated oils contain trans fats, which are universally recognized as harmful to cardiovascular health. Trans fats raise levels of LDL cholesterol, often referred to as bad cholesterol, while simultaneously lowering HDL cholesterol, the good cholesterol that protects the heart. This double effect accelerates the buildup of plaque in arteries, making them stiff and narrow. When blood can't flow freely, the risk of heart attacks and strokes increases dramatically. Beyond cholesterol, these oils promote chronic inflammation throughout the body. Inflammation is the body's natural response to injury or infection, but when it becomes chronic due to poor dietary choices, it turns into a silent threat. Inflammatory markers rise, damaging tissues and organs, and creating an internal environment that makes the body more susceptible to conditions such as arthritis, metabolic syndrome, and even certain cancers. A simple snack of processed peanuts roasted in hydrogenated oils might not feel harmful, but eaten regularly, it fuels this ongoing inflammatory process that chips away at long-term health. Refined oils also contribute to the imbalance of omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids in the diet. The human body needs both, but in the right ratio. A diet too high in omega-6 fatty acids, which are abundant in vegetable oils, skews this balance and increases the risk of inflammation and chronic disease. Since most modern diets are already heavy in omega-6 due to widespread use of processed foods, adding more through peanut products only worsens the imbalance. This is another reason why these oils are far from neutral. They amplify existing dietary risks that people already struggle with. Another issue with hydrogenated oils is their impact on insulin sensitivity. Research has shown that trans fats can interfere with the way cells respond to insulin, increasing the likelihood of insulin resistance and eventually type 2 diabetes. This makes processed peanut products a hidden danger for anyone trying to manage or prevent blood sugar problems. People often eat these snacks believing they are providing fuel and protein, but the oils inside are working against their body's ability to regulate glucose effectively. The liver also pays a high price for these unhealthy oils. Excess consumption can contribute to fat buildup in the liver, leading to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Over time, this condition can progress to inflammation and scarring, impairing the liver's ability to detoxify the body and regulate metabolism. Since peanut-based snacks are often eaten in significant quantities, the cumulative effect of these oils is far greater than many people realize. Even the brain is not spared. Trans fats have been linked to cognitive decline, memory problems, and an increased risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. This is partly because they promote inflammation in brain tissues and partly because they interfere with the healthy fats the brain relies on for function. Something as simple as eating flavored or processed peanuts roasted in hydrogenated oils becomes a risk not only to physical health, but also to mental sharpness and long-term brain health. The problem lies in the deceptive nature of these products. Packaging often highlights the protein and fiber content of peanuts, but does not draw attention to the dangerous oils that lurk inside. Most people are unaware of how damaging these oils are, or they underestimate the risks because they don't feel any immediate symptoms. But the body is always responding, always adapting, and over time, The constant presence of unhealthy oils takes its toll. It is not one serving that does the damage, it is the years of repeated exposure that silently build disease in the background. Peanuts, unlike many other nuts, carry a unique risk because they are particularly vulnerable to contamination by a type of mold that produces toxins known as aflatoxins. These toxins are invisible to the eye, tasteless, and cannot be removed by roasting or processing. Aflatoxins are classified as carcinogens, meaning they have the potential to cause cancer, and long-term exposure has been strongly linked to liver damage and liver cancer. The danger lies in the fact that people may consume contaminated peanuts or peanut products for years without realizing it, slowly allowing these toxins to accumulate in the body. This makes the risk far more insidious because the effects are not immediate but can surface decades later in the form of serious illness. The liver is the primary organ affected because it is responsible for processing toxins. When aflatoxins enter the body, the liver works to metabolize them, but in the process, it becomes damaged. Continuous exposure causes scarring and increases the likelihood of mutations in liver cells, which can lead to cancer. Even individuals who do not consume large quantities at once are at risk if they frequently eat peanuts or peanut products sourced from environments where aflatoxin contamination is common. In many regions of the world, especially warm and humid climates, peanuts are stored in conditions that encourage mold growth, making contamination a persistent problem. Children are particularly vulnerable to aflatoxin exposure. Studies have shown that in areas with high contamination, children who consume peanuts regularly can experience stunted growth, weakened immunity, and impaired development. Their smaller bodies and developing organs are less able to handle the toxin load, and the long-term consequences may stay with them throughout their lives. This highlights why awareness of the issue is critical, not just for adults, but also for families who routinely include peanut products in their children's diets. Another layer of risk comes from the widespread use of peanuts in processed foods. Peanut butter, snack bars, candies, and even sauces often contain peanuts as a base ingredient. If the raw peanuts used in these products were contaminated, the aflatoxins are carried into the final food. This means that a person could be exposed without even realizing it because they aren't directly eating peanuts but consuming them in hidden forms. Over time, this hidden exposure still contributes to the same risks. The challenge with aflatoxins is that they are not completely avoidable even with regulations in place. Food safety standards exist to limit contamination, but low levels are still considered acceptable in many countries. The problem is that even small amounts, when consumed regularly, can accumulate and cause harm. Unlike certain toxins that are flushed out quickly, aflatoxins are potent and damaging even at low doses over long periods. This makes vigilance in food choices essential. Adding to the complexity, aflatoxin exposure does not only affect the liver directly, it also weakens the immune system, making the body less effective at fighting infections and repairing itself. People who are already dealing with other health conditions, such as hepatitis or alcohol-related liver issues, are at an even higher risk because their livers are already compromised. For them, eating contaminated peanuts can accelerate the progression toward liver failure or cancer. The broader concern is that many consumers are unaware of this risk. They assume that because peanuts are widely available and marketed as healthy, they must be safe. But the truth is that the combination of poor storage, large-scale production, and limited awareness creates a perfect environment for aflatoxin exposure to quietly become a public health problem. Choosing alternatives, seeking high-quality sources, and limiting consumption of processed peanut products are ways to reduce the likelihood of exposure. But without awareness, most people never take these precautions. The reality is that peanuts carry an invisible danger that can silently shorten lives through one of the most serious and deadly pathways: cancer.